I always recommend buyers, especially first-time home buyers, do a home inspection when buying a home. And of course, right now, the market we're in, we're seeing a lot of
Why is it beneficial to have a home inspection?
Home inspections are so critical for a number of reasons. First and foremost, a home inspection is performed by a licensed home inspector in your state. And different states have different criteria that home inspectors need to meet. A home inspector's job is essentially to point out everything that is either currently wrong or will be wrong with a home. And regardless of whether you're buying a home that's brand new or 300 years old, there's always going to be things that come up during a home inspection that buyers are going to need to know about. I always recommend buyers, especially first-time home buyers, do a home inspection when buying a home. And of course, right now, the market we're in, we're seeing a lot of homes being purchased without home inspections. And that's unfortunate, but it is just the situation that we find ourselves in. But it's really to give buyers a peace of mind about what's behind the walls, what's in the attic, how the systems are put together, so that they move into a home knowing the guts of it and they feel like they have some sort of knowledge about it. A home inspector's job is going to be to point out, to take a really thorough look at the electrical system, make sure all the outlets are working properly. They're going to look at the roof to determine if the roof is in good shape, test all the windows to make sure they all work properly, plumbing, turn on and off appliances to make sure those are working right. They will be able to point out if there's any kind of asbestos in the house. They'll be testing the heating systems, the air conditioning systems, the structural integrity of the home. They're not structural engineers, but they are able to do a basic structural sort of exam of the home, foundation, support. They're not pest inspectors, but they're also able to look at and find evidence of any pests, if there have been any, and make recommendations on that. So they're really critical to have. A home inspection is going to run the buyer anywhere from about $300 to $1,000, again, depending on where you live and what kind of property you are buying. Another thing that a home inspector can do is test for radon. Radon is a odorless, invisible, tasteless gas that comes up from the earth. And here in the New England area, it's common in basements. And so a home inspector will go in for an additional cost. A home inspector can do a radon test, and it takes 24 to 48 hours, and they will be able to read radon levels, determine whether or not there are radon levels, and if there are, how safe they are. If they're above a certain number, then a radon mitigation system needs to be put in. So home inspections are critical. Because right now we're in a market where so many people have to waive home inspections, what a lot of buyers are doing is they're bringing home inspectors with them to open houses.
I love that.
They are literally paying a home inspector for 6 hours of their time. And if they go to 4 open houses in an afternoon, the home inspector, of course, will not be doing a thorough full home inspection, but they'll be able to do a quick sort of gloss over of the home to determine whether or not the home is in good shape. And that will then, of course, allow the buyer to feel more comfortable waiving a home inspection or negotiating a potential issue that the home inspector found. Home inspections are usually done by buyers. However, sometimes sellers will have a home inspection as well. Home inspectors will come out, do the same exact thing for a seller, make sure to give information to the seller so they know what's going on with their house. Because let's face it, if we've lived in our house for a long time, we're used to all the quirks and the creaks and the deeks and the whatever. And those things might be problematic to the person who's coming in who doesn't know any better. And for a seller to have a home inspection, oh my God, my roof is leaking, or my water heater should have been replaced 6 years ago. Like, these things could be good to know to either do themselves before they sell the house, or to at least be acknowledge, so that when someone comes in with maybe a lower price or want to negotiate the price, they're not surprised by that. So that's important as well. Also, for couples who are getting divorced or separated, if someone is buying the other spouse out, it's also important for the person who is staying in the home to have a home inspection. Because during any kind of settlement agreement, you're going to want to negotiate any issues that come up to be repaired prior to signing that.
Hmm.
Once that gets signed, it's next to impossible to try to negotiate that compensation. There are times when sellers will have home inspections. The flip side to that is once a seller becomes aware, or a broker becomes aware of an issue with a home that's come up from a home inspection, legally they need to then disclose that unless it's fixed. So if, for example, a home inspector says your water heater is at the end of its life expectancy, the seller either has the option to replace it or to keep it as is, but then they have to disclose that. Those are things that you do need to keep in mind from a seller's perspective if you do want to have a home inspection.
Yeah, you can't just like ignore it and be like, it's fine. Like
just ignore it. No.
I'm sure some people do that, but it's like not ethical.
It could come back legally to bite them if the buyer can prove that the seller knew about an issue and didn't do anything about it.
That was interesting with if a couple is getting separated, so they have to get the inspection. It's recommended before they sell their house. How do they work out who's paying for maybe the new water heater? Is that just amongst them, or is just
That's a really good question. Typically what will happen is the spouses will split it, although that's all kind of negotiated between the attorneys in that situation. For example, if the exiting spouse might say, I'm leaving, and so I don't want to have to pay as much. It's going to be your house. You should have to pay 2/3 of the cost. So it really is negotiated between the two parties and their attorneys when something like that comes up.
Yeah, it's more situational, but
it's more situational.
Yeah, but that makes sense to get the inspection before though, so that there's no surprises. Super good. Thanks, Adam, for all this great info.
Hey guys, if you're liking this content and are eager to hear more, I would encourage you to keep on watching. Click on the button to subscribe, and you will be the first to get new fresh content as soon as I put it on the internet.